box, shout out where you're coming in from today. Let me get my chat box open for you. Okay, awesome. I don't know if you guys have, if you guys are doing a lot of video stuff, man, if you don't have 2 screens, you're missing out. I love you, but makes all the difference in the world when you got 2 screens. And I got all your faces on an external monitor over here. I've got your chat boxes running over there on the right side. So it works really, really well. Chris Taylor, what's your background there, my friend? And by the way, if you need to at any time, hold the space bar down and you can mute your line. Okay. Chris Taylor, you there with us? Got that space bar there? Just hold that puppy down. You can.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm in the audio visual industry in near Detroit.
Excellent. It's a beautiful background you got there.
It's from our shop, which we can't get into right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, even once in a while, I'll do this number right here. I can actually, something's going goofy with my laptop. I can actually make my backdrop our training center, our office. By the way, I throw this out to you guys, you know, as a quick little tip. One of our clients, I don't know if anybody online with us from SmileSource. I'm looking over your names. By the way, it's so cool when you guys right click on your name, you can change it to your first name, company you're with, and then the industry, and everybody can see, you know, what you got going on. One of my clients, I don't see anybody there from them today, but I'll give them credit, from SmileSource. If you've heard this, please forgive me. But they meet with dentists, and one of the things that they find right now is, number one, there's more dentists that are available to meet with right now than there ever have been. They're a lot more accessible. We're hearing that over and over. So if you're sitting at home not prospecting, for heaven's sake, start reaching out to people. They want to hear from you. And so number one, you can reach a lot more people today. Number two is what they're doing is a kind of cool move, is that they are going to the customer's website. There's almost always an image of the inside of their office building. They are using that image as their virtual background. So they're changing the virtual background to make it appear as if they're meeting in their offices. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty clever idea. And I've done it a couple of times myself over the last 10 days. And it's a nice bonding moment. You get a little conversation starter there, as opposed to having, you know, some other crazy background that somebody might have. Somebody was kind enough the other day to put some scenes from The Shining in their background, which is nice, but not nearly as beneficial as the customer's office space. So I just throw that out to you guys right there. Now, with that, our focus together today, and when we run these sessions, they're 60 minutes, so they're pretty quick. So we're going to keep things rocking and rolling. We got 44 people online. That's probably a record here for Sales Mastery on a Monday, which is fantastic. Kudos to you guys. So I am Mark McGraw. If we haven't had a chance to meet, down in Atlanta, Georgia. Been around Sandler for 14 years. Love, love, love what I get to do. So it's a pleasure to be with you guys. So here's what we want to work on today, is we want to work on the pain step. And specifically, this is a pain clinic, which means that we actually can pick and choose the topics that you guys want to focus on. Now, I've been meaning to try polls, which I have not tried, even though I am Zoom tech support for a lot of people. They're always calling me saying, hey, how do you do this, that, or another thing? So I'm going to take an attempt to put a pain poll out for you guys. And it's just 2 simple questions. And with any luck, I've just launched the poll. Is this thing working? Let's see. All right.
Yeah,
Mindy says yes. Thank you, Mindy. By the way, nonverbals are a really helpful thing here these days. Thank you for that. All right. So you guys complete the pain poll, because here's what I want to do. I want to focus on the things that are most relevant to you. Okay. And so I can take this in a whole bunch of different directions, which is good. And I can take it in a whole bunch of different directions, which can be bad, just because I want to focus on what's most relevant to you. I'm loving this poll thing. This is great. So if you're online with us right now, just go on and complete the poll. 30% of you have. It's just 2 simple questions. All right, cool. So I'm going to get you guys in breakouts. How many of you have done breakouts in Zoom with us? Just show of hands. So half-ish. All right, cool. All right, we got about 80% of the people who have completed it. And all right, based on what I'm seeing right there, it looks like most folks are having the number one topic is putting a cost to the pain. All right. So I tell you what, we're going to start with that one, and I'm going to try to weave in a little bit towards the end about making it personal. Okay. But I got to tell you, this is you guys couldn't pick a better topic for me because I love the game of quantifying pain. Okay. So apparently, by the way, we're going to need some new slides, and we're going to do what I'd love to do best, which is to do a blank slide. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so you guys know we got this thing called the pain funnel, right? And in the pain funnel, there's 3 levels to the pain funnel. This is just like 101. You got the surface level stuff there. So when people bring up a problem, they bring up a surface level problem, okay? It's usually generic, like, you know, my current supplier is not delivering on time, something like that. It's usually pretty generic. While I'm going through this, here's what I'm asking you guys to do. Chat out some surface level issues that you've heard people say. Everybody chat out at least one surface level. This is kind of the BS of stuff that they throw out, like, you know, I'm not happy with such and such, but it's usually a pretty high level thing. Lead time's too long. It's exactly right. Okay, that's what I'm looking for right there. Everybody take a look and watch that chat box, because you're going to see something very interesting, would be my expectation. And that is you're going to see people in other industries and other businesses have the same pain points that you have in yours. They're not going to be one for one, but still they're going to be there. So surface level stuff, that's, you guys are seeing them. That's a great list right there. My company, my competitors nickel and diming me. Okay, hopefully it's not us nickel and diming them. All right, second level down, this is what we're going to focus on then apparently today, is the business impact. Okay, or if you're in a sort of B2C world, some people are, it's all it is it's a financial impact. That's FIN for financial. Down here we got personal. Okay. Down here we got personal impact. Okay, since Chris Taylor was kind enough earlier, and I don't know Chris at all. I don't think I know Chris. Do I know you, Chris? Hold space bar down.
I was in the text window. No,
Oh
we don't
yeah.
know each other.
Okay, so this is going to be like a card game. Okay, it's like nothing up my sleeves, that whole thing. All right, so Chris, if you don't mind, unmute yourself for good there. You and I are about to do a role play, and I'm going to play the part of your business, okay?
Copy that.
All right, cool. Thank you for volunteering. Did you guys see how good he was at that?
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so Chris, here's what I want to do with everybody. I want to take just a minute and I want to demonstrate a few different ways that you can quantify pain. And Chris, I need 30 seconds of your business. And then I'm going to do a quick demo for everybody. And then I'll probably turn everybody loose to actually use some of the techniques in some group role plays that you guys are working on yourself. Okay. So Chris, if you don't mind, give everybody, myself most importantly here, because I need a little bit of context for what you're selling. And I'm going to attempt, almost like a magic trick, which now that I've said this is going to go terribly wrong. I'm going to attempt to quantify pain in your business, even though I am not selling your stuff. Okay.
Great. Well,
Okay.
we're for a event technology company, kind of like audiovisual. We do live corporate events, concerts, meetings, that kind of thing. But we try to take the approach of, instead of renting you a piece of equipment or microphones and screens and projectors and things, we try to sell you a package which solves whatever issues you may have with meetings and events. So we try to not just sell equipment, we sell the design, the concepts, the whole thing is a package to try to make the client feel at ease with what they have.
Okay. And Chris, would this be, if I were, who are you going to be in this role play? Who's my customer? And again, I'm going to play the part of you. You're going to play a customer.
I'll just be customer X.
Okay. Tell me what kind of X business they're in.
Uh, a lot of our customers, is not from customer X, but our customers are people that will probably end up reselling our services to an end client. So like Ford may not be our client, but another company would sell a similar service that we would do to Ford. So instead
Okay.
of going directly, so our customers, so some of the problems, if I'm in the middle customer, like I brought up before, say, hey, Premier, look, I've been shopping this out and I got some other quotes from other companies and you're on the high end. So
Okay. That'd
I
be an
like you guys, we
objection.
work with you a lot. So how can we make this work?
Okay. So what we want to do is today, we want to focus on pain and the cost of whatever the issue is. So give me, I got a little bit of a sense and I may have to drop out of role here, but so I can keep things moving, Chris, give me a little bit of a sense as to what is a pain indicator that they would say to you that would be a problem that the customer would have. Because here's the thing about pain in a pain clinic, okay? These questions, everybody familiar with the pain funnel questions that are up on the screen right now? And there are questions up on the screen, yes? Okay, tell me more, be more specific, all that stuff. Okay, cool, great, excellent. Know those questions by heart, my friends. Upside down, inside out, know them by heart. Okay, if you want, at the end, if we have time, I'll show you a quick little memory device to get you to memorize all those questions in under 5 minutes. Okay, if we have time, I'll show that to you. But I want you to memorize those questions. Now, what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to quantify the problem. And in order for us to do anything with the pain funnel, you have to, and I didn't know this for the longest time, you actually have to have something to put into the pain funnel. Because if I walked up to you on the street, Chris, randomly, or if you and I sit down at a meeting and we're like 2 seconds into it, and I say to you, Chris, tell me more. You're like, about what? I don't know, right? So you got
Sure.
to have something to put into the pain funnel other than the pain funnel's not going to help. So tell me, give me one thing or two that we're going to put into the pain funnel in this demo that I'm dragging out.
Well, I guess from my perspective would be how do I best communicate to the client why our services are better than the cheapest one on the block? Okay, we may be more expensive, but we're dependable.
Okay.
Our
Let me
equipment's
let me
well
let me
maintained.
jump into a role play here and let me give it a shot. Okay. Everybody give me a little bit of grace here. Okay. So and again, I'm gonna show you some techniques and then I'm gonna have you guys do this yourself. Okay. This stuff works, man. It's gold. Yeah. Now I've really set myself up for failure. Jiminy Christmas. Okay. You can do nothing but win, Chris. I can do nothing but lose. All right.
I'm in a good spot.
You're in a great spot. All right. So let's try it. And again, I'm playing the part of you. You're playing the part of the customer. So I'm going to ask you a question, Chris. Hey, Chris, can I just ask you, when you've used other services and other systems similar to ours, what's the biggest failure point that you've run into? I mean, what's the biggest challenge, issue, or concern when it comes to presentation events?
Um, a lot of times, the technical people we work with aren't qualified, and we have no control over who we get. We like to work with people that we know and trust.
Okay, cool. Now watch right there, out of roll, and I'm going to jump in and out. Watch this. Chris, tell me about that.
Oh, we had a situation where we had
Now stop right there, okay? Look at this. I want you guys to see this. I'm going to come in and out. I want to demo this for you. Keep your thought, Chris. I'm going to come back to you. What did he just say? Let me tell you what just happened. I didn't ask him to be more specific or give me an example, but the mind actually does that on purpose, intentionally. He's actually going to go into an example because these questions are written in a way that people think logically. It's the next logical thing to do. Okay. So this is going to happen to you when you use these questions. People are actually going to answer the next question in the list without you even bringing it up. And that's what Chris is about to do right now.
well, we had a situation at an event where we had an audio person that did not know how to operate the console to the point where we needed them to, and kept missing cues and didn't sound good, and there was feedback, and we had to let them go mid-show. and try to come up with somebody else that can jump in. And with that, doesn't put anybody in a good situation. So we got to prevent
That's
that.
that sounds like a mess. I mean, that's got to be embarrassing, I would think. The people that you're using today, I mean, you went back to them. I mean, how long has that happened?
Well, it happens a lot of times, when you try to, you're trying to manage costs uh, for your event. Sometimes where you cut costs are with people, with equipment, or with just how you run your company, all kinds of situations.
Chris, when you went back and told them that you wanted experienced people and you wanted people that were really competent and knew your business inside and out, like we would if we were working together, give me a sense as to what they said.
Well, it's weird. I'm on the other side of that. If that ever happened to me, which it has, so I've used some local labor. I tell them, said, look, with this.
No, no, no. What would the customer say? Remember, I'm you.
Oh, the
I'm
customer
you
say, I'm
asking
the
the
customer
customer.
say, hey, look, I can't have this, or I can't use you anymore, because if I have a show that goes bad, that sinks my company, it's going to sink your company.
Yeah, when we can't have that.
I mean,
I mean,
there's no tolerance for that at all.
I mean, Chris, pretend that that were to happen. I mean, or maybe that has happened with other companies you've used in the past. What kind of cost did that have to you?
I could lose a multi-million-dollar client over one queue.
What would
That's
it?
the cost.
You could lose a what?
A multi-million-dollar client over one queue.
Out of roll, real quick. When people say things that are important, go hard of hearing, my friends. Okay, force them to say it a second time. Just what?
Uh,
Okay, that's a dummy curve move right there at a Sandler 101. Okay, I heard him. I knew what he said, but I want him to say it again. I want this to be internalized. Let's come back to something, Chris, and I'm coming back to you in the role play, Chris, but let's come back to something Chris said a few minutes ago. He started the role play by saying, I want to know, you guys are more expensive than other people, and I want to know, what you can do. And that's kind of one of the things that he started off with. Halfway through this pain funnel, he says, when I've bought cheap services, I've gotten poor results. That's Chris selling Chris, not Mark selling Chris. I don't know about you, but that's a lot easier. I enjoy that a lot more, getting people to sell themselves as opposed to me trying to sell them. That's work. Okay. This is so much easier. Is this useful to anybody, or am I just, yeah? Okay, good. All right. And you guys didn't get this confused with this, right? This is, yes, it's good. All right, cool. All right. So Chris, now watch. Okay. So I'm going to jump back in. So jot that down. Sometimes you're going to want to go hard of hearing, struggle a little bit, get them to tell you something again. Chris, can I ask you? I mean, it sounds like, you could lose $1 million client. I mean, what's a typical client in your business worth, Chris?
it could be anywhere from, small, few $1,000s to, multi-million over the course of a year. And return clients, we try to keep our clients. We have great relationships with our clients, and we try to keep them. So
How,
any issues I have with faulty equipment or bad
so,
technician,
so Chris,
uh,
what's a typical client do with you a year? Or what's a typical client revenue look like?
it ranges depending on the client. Some are, you know, as I said, you may be 100,000. Some might be 3 to 5 million or more for a year.
So maybe, let's say we got a $200,000 account. Fair?
Yep,
How many years you keep that account?
every year.
Yeah, but they go away eventually.
We try not to ever let that happen.
If for sake of discussion, we said you keep it for 3 years, would that be fair?
We've kept way longer.
All right. Out of roll. Let me just point a couple things out. Everybody see what I'm doing right there? Okay. First off, he said $100,000 to like 3 million. I picked a low number. Jot that in your list. Can somebody just put that out in bold letters? Always underplay the number. Just chat that out for everybody in nice big bold letters. And somebody else maybe chat out the fact that you want to go hard of hearing. What I want you to do when you use this technique is I actually want you to underplay the scope of the problem, because here's what's going to happen. He's going to fight to make it the reality of it. And it doesn't sound like I'm selling at that point. Do you guys hear that? So if I say 200,000 and yet he said maybe up to 3 million, he's starting to believe this problem is going to be worse than what it is. So watch this. Every time I say that, I feel like in the South, we're here in Georgia, it's like hold my beer. And it's usually something bad is about to happen when you say, watch this. So that's what I just did. All right, so watch this. So Chris has said a couple $100,000 an account a year, and you keep it for 3 years as a minimum. Remember, he said he keeps them forever. I used 3 years. Okay. Okay. So 3 years, $200,000 is
Six hundred
struggling.
thousand dollars.
$600,000. Okay. It's about $600,000. Now, I mean, that's not all profit, right?
Right.
I mean, you got some costs inside of there. So if
Hmm.
you lost an account, I mean, profit wise over that 3 years, what would that mean to the business?
Well, if that client is always 100, is always $200,000 a year, but the potential for that client might be far greater.
Wow. What does that look like?
It could be anything. I've seen clients go from nothing, where they're a burden, and you have to break even on shows, and all of a sudden they're bringing in millions of dollars, after a few years.
So,
So you can't ever say quantify a client by a number at their current uh, spot.
so I guess the key thing is that is it enough to care about? I mean, is it a little or a lot enough to really be significant
I,
enough to your business?
for me, I always care about all of it, equally. So I mean,
All
if
right.
a client's a client, they get my full attention all the time.
You've convinced me. All right. And so it sounds like there's an impact to the business. What's the impact to you? I mean, if this doesn't go well, Chris, what happens to you?
If it doesn't go well, I lose a customer, which I do not like.
Yeah.
I've taken a personal loss. Like when you're saying, okay, how do you make this personal? Yeah, it's very personal.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of clients we have, or I have, has been for 10, 15 years, and I know them like family, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So if something happened to break that trust, I have failed.
Yeah. And we can't let that happen, can we?
No, we can't.
All right. Fair enough. Cool. So should we talk a little bit about some of the things that we might be able to do to help you and maybe some of the investments that it's going to take in order to make sure that you get the level of service, you get the experienced people, that there are no problems with it? I mean, should we go there?
Yes, we should.
Let's do that. All right, I'm stopping there. By the way, everybody give Chris a hand. He did a great job. Well done. Well done. Look at that, man. You got a nice round of applause. That's awesome. Okay, so all I did, woot, I love it. Thank you. That made me laugh, Sean. So all I've done there is by and large, I've followed through the pain funnel. Did anybody pick up anything else that I did? Just chat it out in the chat box if you caught anything else that happened. I want you to remember this: a professional never does anything by accident. That's a Sandler rule. So everything, even like when I'm struggling up here, looking up here, I see change of voice. My friends, is changing your tonality is critical. It's just critical. Okay. And there's two things you want to do. Okay. If you ever want to kind of work, you guys keep checking that chat box because you're seeing a lot of really good ideas on that chat box over there. So if you really want to work on tonality, I suggest there's two things that I've coached on tonality. Okay. There's two things you want to do to really improve and get people to share with you information that they would never share with somebody else. Okay. Two things. I jot these down. Number one, you want to lower the volume of your voice. So if the volume's normally up here, you want to just lower the volume, turn down the volume knob. And the second thing you want to do is you just want to slow down a little bit. And so when you can slow down and lower your voice, what you're going to find is that you become a very nurturing person, even though in your heart you're not. But you sound it because you're doing those two things. Okay. Christopher made me laugh. It's cool. Okay. That's not, and I see Christopher just typed out there. He said, that's not a sales presentations pitch voice. We're focused on him and the reasons why he would want to invest and spend more money to do business with us than he would by going with the cheapest supplier. And what we did right there is we quantified the pain. We put a dollar amount to it. Okay. And keep this in mind. So Tim says from Homebusters, he said, I paused for him to give the answers. Okay. So there's a Sandler rule. It says people never argue with their own data. So you want this stuff to come from them. If you're throwing the numbers out, you're selling them and you want them selling you. That's the essence of Sandler right there. And it's a beautiful thing. And frankly, I find it's harder to do it the other way because now I have to come up with all the magic reasons why I should convince you to do business with me. But yet you use Sandler, you turn that inside out, and now he's having to convince me as to why we would do business together, not the other way around. I find that a heck of a lot easier. All I got to do is learn these questions, put them in a particular order, struggle. If you're looking for some notes, and I'm going to read some of them off the chat, struggle, get them to come up with the numbers. Never do the math. Let them do the math. Okay. Follow the outline of the questions. But the cool thing is that if I just ask each one of those questions sequentially, perfectly, I may or may not, I mean, it might or might not fit. Like the first thing he did is I said, tell me more. And he answered the next question. He started giving me an example, which is great. So I don't put up the stop sign and say, Chris, please, I'm following the Sandler pain funnel here. If you would please just follow the script, my friend. Okay. Don't do that. Just skip that question and go on to the next one. Okay. Just move on. And so that's why knowing these questions inside and out is so critical for you in the business. Okay. Now, that in mind, let's see, what else did I do? I picked a lower number, not a higher number. Another thing I did right there, jot this down. I'm a big fan. If you really want to get great at pain and quantifying pain, don't just think about if somebody says to you it's $100,000 a month, okay, or 10,000. Let's say it's $100,000 a month. Don't stop there. Think about that for a year. $100,000 a month is 12 months out of the year. It's gosh. And if you need to, you might need to say it, but just give them a chance to do the math in their head. That's $1.2 million a year. How many years have you been dealing with that? 6? 7? Wow. 7, 1.2. That's definitely higher math. Start running the math. And so don't just think about quantifying it per week or a month. Do it for a year and then find out how many years we've got going on. Okay, one more thing I did inside of here. When I got down here to personal stuff, down at the bottom of the pain funnel, okay, surface, business, and then personal. One of the things that I like to do, and I do this regularly in meetings with clients and prospects, I should say, is the following. So it sounds like that's significant. What's the impact to the business? Next question. What's the impact to you? What's the impact to the business? That's here. What's the impact to you? That takes you, and that can short circuit things if you need it, and you really need to get surgically sharp at quantifying pain and putting dollar amounts to it, doing it over time, getting them to sell you in terms of what the real problem is, and become surgical at these questions so you can get right to the root of it in the course of maybe just a few minutes. Okay. Now I'm going to look up at the screen. Does that make some sense to everybody? You guys cool with that? All right, cool. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn you loose. I'm going to get you in groups. I love doing this. Okay. I'm going to get you in some breakout groups. There's probably going to be just 2 to 3 people per group. And here's what your goal is. Okay. Wow. A lot of people online. It's awesome. Okay. 3 to 4 people per room. When I hit the button, you're going to go into the group. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to switch industries with the other person. So let's say I'm doing this with Christy. Okay. Hey, Christy, up in the corner. All right. She's Jan Brady, I think. That would be Marcia. I'm not sure. But she's over in the corner. All right. So if I'm doing this with Christy, hold spacebar down. Tell us what you sell.
Transportation.
Excellent. All of a sudden, I'm now selling transportation services. You're a buyer of transportation services. If we're doing the role play, I'm going to sell your stuff. Okay. You have to start by giving me a pain indicator, and I'm going to go through the pain funnel questions. But I may or may not know your industry very well. But my job is to quantify the problem, and I can stop there if you want, since that's our focus today. But an interesting thing happens when we coach this is that if you sell in your own industry, I see my friends from Quad Plus over here, if you're selling your own products in your own industry, there is a terrible temptation to bail out of these pain funnel questions and start talking product. If you don't know anything about Quad Plus or the logistics transportation industry, you are forced to follow the process. I want you to follow the process, not the product. Everybody with me on that? Okay, cool. All right. So if there's 3 people in the group by chance, and that will be the case, or even 4 in some cases, I want the 3rd and 4th person to actually be an observer to the group. Okay. Now, when I throw you into the room here, you're going to have to do this quick. You can't spend a lot of time like figuring out who's going to do what. And you're going to have maybe 4 or 5 minutes, 5 minutes to go through it. You're going to have to rock and roll, because when we're coming out of it, I want you to brag on the other people to show what they did successfully. Okay. And I might pop into a room as we go. All right, everybody on board with the ground rules? About 5, 6 minutes in role play. Get to it right away. No chit chat or bonding and rapport and all that other stuff. We're driving right in. Rooms are now created on the count of 3, 2, 1. Jump into the breakout rooms. You got about 6 minutes once everybody's in. Run through a quick pain funnel, quantify that sucker using some of the things we just worked on, and I'll bring y'all back. Christy, welcome back. Did you get into a group?
I did, and then I was kicked out because my laptop died. But we finished, so.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm going to bring everybody back then anyway. Okay. That's good. Little technology problem. Imagine that. A friend of mine says it plugs into a wall. What could possibly go wrong? I think that's kind of funny.
It doesn't give much warning either, which is unfortunate. It just shuts off.
On your laptop?
Yeah.
I was running a meeting this morning, and the length of the meeting was determined by the amount of battery life I had left on my laptop. Hey, we got about 6% left. Okay, we got to wrap this thing up. So that's how that conversation was going. Okay, in 15 seconds, we got everybody coming back. 8, 6, 5, 4. We're going to have a flood of people joining us here. 2, 1. Everybody's coming back. All right, how'd you guys do? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, lots of thumbs up. Cool. Okay, everybody do this. If you saw somebody do something that was good, and I know you did, chat it out in the chat box, okay? And so what were some of the things that you saw people do? Just chat it out right there in the chat box that were beneficial or helpful to getting everything together and to actually putting some quantified pain into it. Okay, while you guys are doing that, I'm looking for items on the chat box. If the chat box is on the other side, I'm looking for some items on the chat box. I'm not sure where it is for you. Okay, but I'm looking for some items coming over here through. While I'm looking for those and you guys are typing, I'm going to put this image up here. I love this image. Okay, I first heard about this from my buddy John Rosso. Some of you guys are with John and his team. Okay, so this thing's a painometer. I love this concept. What this basically says is rookie, poor, terrible, non-Sandler people, the minute that they hear a problem, they go into presentation mode. Let me show you how we fix it. Okay, pros work their way up the painometer. Okay, they you know, somebody that's a little bit better than this person here, they may find one pain problem and then they present. Somebody that's a little bit better, they find 2 or 3 issues and then they present. Okay. But what you want to do is get examples, figure out the cost. How's it impact them? Are they committed? Some of us have issues where some of us have a lot of issues. Some of us have issues where what we do is we get a lot of pain and we find a lot of stuff. What we find out is that the comparative issue is a less significant issue than other things that they're dealing with. Okay, so they're having to compete with ROI money, meaning that this thing over here is a 10x ROI and the project you're presenting is a 3x ROI. Then they're going to do the 10x before they do the 3x. So another reason why you want to quantify the pain is that it helps them do a cost justification of what they're doing, if that's appropriate in your business. But a question you can ask is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how critical is it that you fix this? That's a great question. That's a 1 to 10 question right over here. And then lastly, okay, so what's your vision of a solution? That's a nice question there at the end. That's just the painometer. That's what that is. Okay, now I'm going to look over at your list of things that you did. In the meantime, up on the screen are a few different techniques that we've talked about up to now that you can use to quantify pain. I'll share with you what base 10 is in just a second. I'm looking over at the list. Greg says he got Chris to keep talking, or maybe it was the other way around. Okay, and keeping them on track. That's a really important thing. Sometimes your prospect or customer will wander through the process. So you got to keep them on track. Okay. By the way, little tip for you. If you're selling to an existing customer and they say that you caused the problem, please do not quantify the pain and take them to personal impact if you caused the problem. That's a bad idea. Okay. But you might ask the first couple of questions. Hey, here's the first couple of questions. Tell me more. Can you be more specific? Okay, a couple of those things. But if you start asking all of those questions and you created the problem, okay, that's anti-selling right there. And just don't tell anybody you learned it from Sandler if you're using that technique. Okay, we don't want any credit for that one. Okay, so I'm putting this back up here. All right, what we got? Let's see, right here. Okay. All right. Good communication. What did the other guys do? Get more specific, wanted examples. Examples are kind of cool because when you get people to tell examples, there's a pattern that they'll give you. Let me just throw this out to you. The pattern is either they'll give you something that was either very significant and maybe a long time ago, or it was just recent. Okay, so they'll say things like, just the other day, and then they'll start telling you a story. Or they'll say, I tell you what happened. It's been a couple years, but I tell you, it was a really big deal. Okay, and so it's either significant or recent in terms of examples. It's kind of cool to watch that stuff. All right, cool. And I'm looking over the list. Looks like you guys did a really good job. All right. And what I see one from Christopher up there. He says, I didn't bail out into product knowledge. Okay, which is a temptation that sometimes we have when, of course, we have product knowledge. If you don't know what you're selling, you're forced to do what I'm doing, which is follow the process. We want you to marry the two together, have the product knowledge and the Sandler selling system, bring those two things together, and that's where you get mastery of the pain funnel and pain, and particularly quantifying. Okay. So John brings up, what do you do if you have a sales situation where one of the major pains you don't handle well? If it were me, I'd start looking for another pain. Because if you can't fix the problem and you take them through all the questions of the pain funnel, and yet you can't solve the problem, all you've done is created an issue that you can't do anything about. And that's not very productive. Now, if you are on your third or fourth thing that this prospect is saying are issues and you can't do anything about, that's telling you that you may not have a very qualified prospect and you need to move on. Okay. Now, no one's asked about using these questions with existing customers. You can and should use these questions with existing customers as long as, again, you didn't cause the pain. That's a bad idea. Okay. Looking over my notes. Hey, let me throw this one out to you, and then I'm going to and then I'm going to share with you, I'll share with you guys a quick way to memorize the pain funnel. Okay. It's embarrassing to me, but I'll do it. Okay. Let me just throw this out. Base 10. We didn't talk about that one. Base 10 means this. Sometimes people have a hard time putting like a percentage to it. So let's say that you fix defects off of a factory production line, and your products produce less defects than the people that they're using, as an example. You might say, hey, out of every 10 products that come off the line, how many of them need to be reworked? Okay, so base 10 is a way that people can kind of get their heads wrapped around. Out of every 10 times, how many times does that become a problem? And people say like 2 or 3. Okay, how many would you like to see? What could you tolerate? What would you be, if we were to work together, what would you want from us? Well, 0. So you're having 2 defects, you want 0. All right, so what's the cost of those 2 defects over the course of a month and over a year and over years? So now you've taken something small and you've made it bigger, and you've actually made it more realistic. And that's using the concept of base 10. Out of 10 times, how often does this happen? And that helps get us into some decent numbers. Okay. Now, embarrassingly, I'm going to teach you guys the pain funnel dance. Don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it. All right. Has anybody ever heard me do the pain funnel dance? Show of hands? No? All right, so I'm gonna have to get the screen here. All right, so I'm gonna do this as quickly and as easily as I can, and this is very embarrassing to me. Not gonna if you want to play along, you're welcome to. There's a method of memorization called mnemonic devices, and what it does is it associates, it's called body filing as a part of mnemonic devices, and body filing associates a list of things to body parts. Okay, told you this was going to be embarrassing, but don't worry, it's mostly PG. Okay, and so we're going to associate this list of things to body parts. So if you want to play along, you're welcome to. And so what you find is that you can either have this list out together as a memorizing the questions, or maybe you start to kind of memorize them, and I would recommend that. And so the first question is, will you tell me more? So there's a song that actually used to be from the Lone Ranger, and it was the William Tell Overture, and it went dun 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 dun. So if you were on one leg and you were hopping, which I am right now, you just can't see down there. Okay, if you were hopping and you crossed your leg, if you grab your ankle and you were thinking about bouncing, I told you this was ridiculous. Problem is, friends, it works. It's really effective. If you do this a couple times, you'll get it. Cross your legs, put your hands on your leg, kind of bounce a little bit. Will you tell me more? Dun, 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 dun. You got 2 knees. Everybody put one hand on one knee and then on the other. Can you give me an example? Be more specific. Okay. So now you've associated will you tell me more with your ankle. Can you give me an example? Be more specific. Longest muscle in your body is the quadriceps. How long has it been a problem? So just pat your leg. Okay. Andrew, you're not patting your leg. He's like, I'm giving this cat a really low review when this thing's over. Okay, that's fine. It's cool. You guys can play along or not. It's either way. Let's start at the bottom. Everybody, you're all on mute. Say it with me if it's not too embarrassing. Start it off. Cross your leg, put your hand on your ankle. Will you tell me more? Can you give me an example? Be more specific. 2 knees. How long has it been a problem? Okay. Your mother may have, get this image here. Can you believe I'm doing this? I've never done this on video before. If you get into this posture right here, point your toe forward. Your mother or father might have done this. Okay. What have you done? What have you done about this? Right there. Okay. So you start over. Tell me more. Just say it out loud. Tell me more. Can you give me an example? Be more specific. How long has it been a problem? That's your quads. What have you done about it? Okay. Now, this one's a little, I don't know. It is what it is. Guy taught me this. His name is Bill Art. He's at bart@sandler.com. If you're not happy with it, email him. Okay. By the way, he retired a few years ago. I'm pretty sure that email is going to bounce. Okay, so here's the deal. So what have you done about it? The next question is what is it? I'm sorry, is did it work? Okay, so a lot of times if ladies go to work out, they work out on a particular body part. So the question is what have you done? Right? Are you happy with the results? That's it right there. Okay, this is helping you remember things. Happy with the results. Okay, your hand's already on the back side there. So what's it costing you? That's where your wallet is. Okay, is it a little or a lot? That's your shoulders. How does it make you feel? Have you oy vey given up trying to fix the problem? I'm going to go through it again with you right from the bottom, but those are the associations. I'm telling you, you do this a few times, you're going to be sitting in a meeting, you're going to cross your legs, and you're going to say, "Oh shoot, will you tell me more?" I swear it's going to happen. I've had this. This is embarrassing to me. I would not put myself out there and do this have I not had so many people come back and say how effective this is. Okay, starting off, will you tell me or tell me more? Can you give me an example? Be more specific. Quads, legs. How long has it been a problem? What have you done about it? Are you happy with the result? That's backside. What is it costing you? Hand on your wallet. Is it a little or a lot? By the way, that is a killer freaking question to ask people. Is it a little or a lot? They start to get angry at the problem right there. Okay. How do you feel about it? Hand around the neck. Have you given up trying to fix it? Okay. Thank you, Craig, for playing along. Watch this. Let's see if I can do it. Have you given up trying to fix it? How do you feel about it? Is it a little or a lot? How much is it costing you? Are you happy with the results? What have you done about it? How long has it been a problem? Can you give me an example? Be more specific. Will you tell me more? I can go up and down with those questions because I associated the problem with the body part, and it makes it easy to remember it in a meeting. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? You still like me? You have no respect for me? Chris Taylor, you got, if I lost, I mean, I don't know you. I'm a total stranger. And here I am doing this ridiculous thing. I've lost all respect with you. Jill's laughing at me. I can tell that. Chris, she says, yeah, she is laughing at me. I get it. All right. Chicken dance, Brian Hayes at Quad Plus. That's awesome. More respect. Thank you for that. My friends, if you know the questions, you might have to ship them up just a little bit, shape them a little bit to the situation, but they work really well. They're universal. Chris says, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Will says, that's the Macarena. It's pretty close. Okay. That's what I want you to do. I want you to think about these questions. And last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is you want to get good at selling. Don't bail. Don't bail through the process. Go into it. I like to play it like a game. I'm going to quantify pain. I'm going to see what number I can get. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to quantify this pain issue. And I make it a game. Let's see if I can do it. And you do that a few times, and it'll take a few, but you'll get it faster with your industry because it's going to get so much easier. You're going to find that it becomes fun, it's enjoyable, it's a blast, and you get to make selling fun, which is what it should be anyway. The pain game. Love it. Great. All right. With that, we're actually 4 minutes from finishing out. I tell you what, at the count of 3, I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to say we're wrapped. Okay. But I'm going to stick on the line. If anybody needs anything one-on-one, I'm here for you. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that I keep the mic open. But if you need to finish up at the count of 3, you're good to go. 3, 2, 1. Appreciate everybody. Have a good, safe week. It's crazy out there. Stay home. And again, I'm going to leave the mic open if anybody has anything one-on-one. Kelly, good to see you. Thank you. Megan, appreciate it. And I'm going to leave the mic open if anybody needs anything. I think Ross had a question as well. So we are officially wrapped, but this is like extra bonus, whatever time if you want to hang out, okay? Cool, everybody. Let's see, Ross, are you still, let's see, Ross Hancock, you had that right there. Can you ask me your question? Pain primer question. Ross, are you with us? I see him up there. Hold that space bar down.
Yeah. So basically, you're asking a question. How do you get into the pain question itself?
I love it.
What is the main primer question that you ask to get into a discussion about pain?
So I have 9, but I'm going to give you 2. Okay. My my two favorite. Okay. Question for you, Ross. Do you walk into meetings and they know why you're there?
Yes.
Okay. My question that I generically recommend almost always is, how are you hoping I could help you? Okay. If they know why the meeting's going to take place, they've met with you for a reason. They're willing to take some time, whether it's virtually or physically back in the day. Remember the days, Ross, when we actually used to sit down with people across the table and we'd shake hands and exchange germs? Remember that? Those days are gone for a while. So if they know why you're meeting, then ask them in a roundabout way, so how are you hoping we could help you? Okay. Now, my other favorite, if they kind of don't know what you got going on, Russ, what business are you in? Give me like 30, I mean, not even 30 seconds.
Same as Chris. It's a AV business.
So the question is what I call the biggest challenge question. Okay. And here it is. You can hear me okay, Ross?
Yes.
Do you hear background noise?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Someone decided to vacuum right above me. Just letting you know. Okay. Welcome to 2020. All right. So, Ross, in this circumstance, I might ask the biggest challenge question. And let me do it with you. Ross, when it comes to events and being able to do live presentations in groups, what's the biggest challenge, issue, concern, or frustration you're dealing with today?
Unrealistic budgets.
Really? Tell me about that. What's going on? And then I got something potentially to put right in the pain funnel.
Right.
But here's the question. What's your biggest challenge, issue, concern, or frustration? Now, you don't need all four of those words. I like them because they're emotional words and they start to get people to think about what issues they're dealing with. Biggest challenge, issue, concern, or frustration. Jill, I don't know what business you're in. Okay. Looks like you're out in Seattle. That would be a guess. But Jill, if I were, what business are you in?
Same with Ross events.
Oh, are you guys, did you guys like dominate the session?
I'm with LMG and yeah, I'm in the events world.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Who knew? Okay. Who's your coach?
Coach in terms of this session through Ross
Sandler.
Sandler.
We don't have a Sandler coach.
You don't have a Sandler coach.
Well, so, kind of Ross through Sandler.
Okay. All right. Not love it. Ross, let's hang out and talk for a minute. It's cool. Okay. So with that in mind, here's what we want to do. Just keep asking that question. Put that question out to people. What's the biggest challenge, issue, concern, or frustration you're dealing with? Okay. And that's what we want to do with that. Now there's other ways to do it too. You could use a 30-second commercial. Hey, a lot of times people tell us they're struggling with, increasing costs or inexperienced people. And that's causing all these issues. I don't know if any of those are issues for you. Okay. But there's just other ways to go about that. But those are two rock solid ones that work in a lot of circumstances.
Thank you, Mark.
You got it. You got it. Cool. Anything else? Russ, stick on the line for me for just a minute. So we'll wrap up, everybody. Appreciate everybody so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, man. We blasted through a ton of stuff in 60 minutes. Oh my gosh.
I got a quick question, Mark.
Yeah.
How would you ask that question, that pain primer style question, to like an end user? So not like a B2B, but like a B2C, or almost like a social person, if that makes sense, right? So for instance, like we do, I also work with Ross, and I do events up here in Detroit. But like for instance, I work at the convention center. How would I use a pain primer question in the sense of like for a social group, like a sorority or something like that? We have a lot of social groups that'll come through. So they're not a business. They're not looking for like almost even like a wedding, like a bride or something like that even too.
Yeah. I'd have to think on that a little bit, but I think it would be something along the lines of, if they said to you, so what do you guys do, or what business are you in? I'd describe a couple, hey, usually we're helping people with events and they're struggling with a couple of these issues. I wouldn't assume you would be dealing with any of those things, but I throw that out. Or would you happen to know of anybody that you think that we should get to know or we could be of help to? And then you're throwing that out, assuming that they're not of any interest, that they have no interest in it. But sometimes they do, But
Yeah.
that's one way at it.
That's useful. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Cool, cool, cool. Excellent. All right. Excellent. We all good, guys?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So Ross, do you guys have you have a Sandler coach you're working with? I would think you would for this session, but
I go way back with Matt Newberger and Chad Prinky up in
yeah,
Baltimore.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Former employer had a pretty sizable engagement with Newberger.
Yeah.
So when I left Baltimore, came to Florida 5 years ago, as we've been sort of going into training, I've been doing a lot of the training to the sales team when we do training. And it's usually based upon the Sandler Foundation. So
Yeah.
Chad and I were talking a few weeks ago, we're friends and just talking about how this was impacting his business and impacting my business. And he said, you got a lot of people. We're doing these free trainings once a week. You ought to get your folks to at least jump on and see if they can get a little something out of each session. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. That makes sense. These sessions are actually part of our sales mastery program.
Yep.
So that makes a lot of sense then. That's cool. So wanted to make sure you guys were connected with somebody for sure.
Yeah, we're straight.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for the session, Mark. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Hopefully it was helpful. It was rock and roll for sure.
You guys take it easy.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mark.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, guys. I'll be
Thank
well.
you.
Indeed. Take care, everybody.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Any chance I could do a screenshot of that painometer by chance?
Yes.